Alright. So what we gotta do right now, week 9 Friday. This is a makeup for Friday, a little async makeup. I wanna ensure that we get all the knowledge over to you. And in order to do that, because of some obligations I have, I gotta make this video. So we shall get into it right away. The general gist here is that we are still on class and class methods. So we'll start off with just a little demo on using class methods, of course, but also a little twist on what happened last class with class methods. So we'll also get into class method parameters, which is a little bit different, but also in a way it's kind of similar to when we had parameters in our functions, right? Remember when we would do a function kind of like this, right? We'd be like, say, function saucy, something like that, and then you'd put like x and y, right? We're essentially going to be doing that, but and then you would call upon it maybe up here or in draw, like saucy 24 and 50, and that would be your x and y value, right? This is what we'll be digging into, but with regard to classes instead. So instead of functions, we're using classes for our parameters. And in a way, we're, because we've already kind of established that you can have these methods and call upon them through the sketch, it'll be very similar to how that works, how that worked with functions, just with a little bit of an added twist to it. So what we'll do actually is we'll put our name down first, and we're gonna call this one, it'll be a sort of a repeat of the car demo, so we actually might be able to just go find that, and then let's just go find that, and then once we have that, then we can actually do a little bit more with it. We'll make some changes rather. That'll save us some time, and we'll be good to go. I'm wondering if it's this one. Yes, it is. Nice, cool. Well, actually, we didn't use. It's not all the same because we did just use it as classes here, whereas we didn't quite do any display. Aside from the balls, when we did the balls, we did have like ball dot display, right? Remember that? So let's just go ahead and actually type it all out then, because that'll be a little better for us. That way we don't have to get all crazy here. Because if I went into class objects here, this was a backpack, right? A little bit different, not exactly what I'm aiming for. And then this is our bouncing ball situation, and this is what I was talking about, where it's like my ball display, my ball dot move, your ball display, your ball dot move, right? Wilson display. So it's similar but not. We're going to be doing this, but with the cars. So let's just make a new thing for cars. Cars, but with class methods and parameters. So we're going to add parameters to the mix here. So going back to cars, but with some class methods and parameters. This means that we have to actually make another file. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, you'll use right click and then create file, right? This one I'll just do create file from the plus tab here. I'm going to write in car.js. And we will proceed with the class program by just saying class car. Remember, there's only a curly bracket there. Constructors plus initialize properties. So this will be a constructor. And yes, this time we have properties. Well, not just properties. We have parameters, constructors with params. And this is our parameter. C color, and then an X and a Y. Put those down there. Curly brackets down as well. And we will dig in. I'd like to start out with color, obviously. So this dot color, and that will be equal to C, capital C color. Maybe it's purple, maybe it's not. This dot X is going to equal X. Whoops, got too many parentheses in here. There we go. This dot Y equals Y. And then this dot speed equals 0 for now, just as a default. And then this dot is convertible because we have done that many times, and why not? False. This dot doors equals 3. This dot width equals 40. So we have a little start speed. We got a little bit of a, well, this is a start for everything, right? Start for the color, start for the X, the Y, the speed, the convertible, the doors. All of which can be varied and varianced. Right after the constructor, I'm going to write display. This one won't have parameters. We'll just say fill this dot color. And then we're also going to just do a little bit of a fun thing where, like, if our mouse is inside of one of the cars, something happens. Maybe the fill changes, right? So that'll occur. So fill change. Based on if inside. And this will actually be calling upon another method that's actually going to be further down the chain here, and I'll get into that in a minute. Because we don't have any of this dot inside in here, you know? So this will be very much reliant on something later. I'd like this to be if this dot inside, and that inside is what I'm talking about. Mouse X, mouse Y. We're going to relate back to this later, so you can, and there's our fill. Make this like a midnight. Whoa. Midnight blue. Midnight blue. And then we'll have a little rectangle there. Hey, no, not yet. We gotta go on this. Rectangle's actually gonna be on this side here, so rect. And then this dot X, this dot Y, this dot width 20. And then let's curve those corners, why not, you know? And this will be our car. The whole thing is our car. But if we're inside of the car with our mouse, we're gonna do a fill of midnight blue. Go ahead and name your project 101.9 C car methods params. Before display, I'd like to put start. I'd like to give this a parameter, speed perhaps. And then within that, this dot speed equals speed, which is our parameter. And that'll be the start speed. Simple as that. And this is our start display. And underneath display, we're going to have our lovely move. Move will work. Move, yeah. We can do it. I was going to do is inside, but move is good. And then we'll do a little curly bracket here. Within the curly bracket, this dot x plus equals this dot speed. This dot speed. We're going to check if car is at boundary of canvas. Does car need to wrap around? Meaning back to the other side. If this dot x of the car is greater than width of canvas, then this dot x shall equal negative this dot width. I'm actually going to put, let's put this somewhere because that's, there we go. And then I want to put this down here just to make it a little tidier. I'm also gonna give us some room. It's a big, a lot of classes going on, right? It's a big one. This dot width, and then after that, an else if statement will help us with else if not this dot x less than negative this dot width, then this dot x equal width. This is going to help us with the moving and the wrapping of the car. Okay. After that, what we would need to do is we actually need to do a just a sort of statement here. So here I'd like to place this dot x and just like, okay, how are things gonna change, right? I want to increment like this. And 1.2. That's the incrementation. Next up, remember when we used this dot inside? I'd like to elaborate on that. So let's actually make an entire class method called inside. And then let's give that class method parameters x, y, curly brackets. We're now going to give this a variable, locally of course. Let inside equals x greater than or equal to this dot x and x less than equal to this dot x plus this dot width. Logical and y greater than or equal to this dot y. Logical and y less y less than, right? Equal to, that's right. This dot y, and we're gonna add 20 to that. And we will return inside. So what's going on here? Let's break this down because that was a little that one's a little bit more strange, right? So basically what's happening here is you have your x from inside parameter x. This is saying x greater than or equal to, if x is greater than or equal to this dot x, and this dot x is actually relating to the car, this dot x, right? The property, this dot x. Logical and if x is less than or equal to this dot x plus dot width and the y values of the car as well. This is all about the car itself. Then I'd like you to return inside, like this thing is inside, right? Let's point to things. So right now, this dot x for the car, what does it equal? It equals mouse x and mouse y. Because this became a property of the car, basically. Because it's a class method, right? But we can use it as a property. And if the x, which is, the mouse x right here, if that mouse x is greater than or equal to this dot x, which is the car's position, right? So we're connecting this mouse x, mouse y to these parameters, and then this dot x and this dot y are connected to the car. Therefore, when this mouse cursor goes inside the car, inside those boundaries that we made with inside class method, make sure that it knows we inside. And then upon entry, fill it with the midnight blue. I think that makes a lot more sense now. So now we can move on. But we do need to add this to the index, so let's do that. I'm gonna just highlight all this, Control C. Press Enter, Control V. Capital C car.js. We'll go back to the sketch. And we can start to utilize this lovely animal of a thing. I'd like to give this a little bit more instruction as well. Maybe we have key press. If we have time. Alright, and then alright. Very good. Love it. Let's make some global variables just like we did before. So let car1, let car2, let car3. Within the function setup, I would like to not only create a canvas, but I'd like to do a little bit of an ellipse mode corner just to help us with organization, because honestly, working with the center can actually be kind of strange with axes and all that. So we'll keep it at corner. That'll just help us out later. I also want to sort of initialize the cars here, so let's do that. All right. So that's a car1 equals a new capital C car, and this will be a purple one. Remember that that's relating to C color, which was a parameter inside of car.js. Remember? See that? So now when we write in our actual car, we're literally giving it specific parameters defining this variation from the outset instead of defining it later in display. You know what I'm saying? Good. Where do I want it to populate? That's a good spot. I'm also just going to test things out, make sure we are good to go and everything's happy-pappy here. Alright, nice. We'll also just say let roof, just because, equal car1 dot is convertible. And you could, do some fun stuff with that. So if you want to just say console.log and then say roof question mark and roof. Give you a little bit of a thing there. Nice. Roof. False. Purple car though. So our parameters are working, which is fantastic. Also want to initialize our other guys, our other little cars. Car2 equals new capital C car. And let's actually give it some strange colors. Excuse me. Lord have mercy. Excuse me, a little dusty. Car3 equals new capital C car. And this one I want to do a nice sky blue. And we'll actually do a 200. 220. After that, I have a pretty, so not much has happened, right? It's just like initializing cars. I just kind of wanted to play around with is convertible a little bit, just for the heck of it. So you can kind of ignore that really. And then everything else is just defining how we're going to populate things on the screen, just like with ellipse mode there, corner, right? And then just initializing and giving life to those parameters. For the background, do something interesting, please, for the color. I wonder if honey is a color. Honey? Man. Honey? No. Bunny? No. Rabbit? No. Just kidding. Alright, I'm good. And then we're good. After which I will... Oh there, buddy. Alright. After that I'll do a little car1 dot display. Nothing to work on there. That's pretty good. And car2 dot display. Car3 dot display. Make sure to comment. I haven't really been very strict about that as much as I should be. So please, please, please comment. It's very important for teams and just best practice in general. Like if you need to find something, yeah, commenting will help. And then after move, you know, maybe we'll do something along the lines of key pressed, which will be a separate function. So let's just, we don't have to do anything right now, but yeah, it's something to think about later. That'll be a different function. Let's actually make a little bit of an if statement here though, because the if statement I'm looking for has to do with mouse. So if, just because I want to have a weird circle populated around something, just to do an if statement, honestly, as a review. If mouse pressed, and curly bracket here, and then a nested if, of course, you know, I gotta make it interesting, you know what I'm saying. Car1 dot inside, because, you know, we did make something for that. Mouse X, we're gonna make this one the car that will have a little circle around it, because that's what I want. Gonna reset the fill on this too, and then the ellipse will occur right around car1's X property and car1's Y property, and it'll be the size of the width of the car, car1 dot width of the car, and then 30. Cool. Is this car1? Hey, 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 hey. Kind of want it to have a fill though, because it would be kind of fun. Can I have a fill, please? Can you just fill it up? Fill it up with banana. No. Cream. I know that's a color. I don't know why that's not popping up. Green, just because. Pressing play now. Green, 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 green. Alright, cool. We're good on that. And plus 25, because I don't like that it's populating like that, the way it's populating. Yeah, that's better. Cool. Good. Nice. Happy. After all that, I'd like to move these darn cars. So car 1 dot move with those little boogies. Car 1, car 2 dot move. Car 3 dot move. Once we have that, we'll have moving cars, of course, which is fantastic. Hello. And we do have that midnight blue filling in the purple car there, which is great. I'd like to adjust the speed, and I would also like to have random start locations with a key press. So let's actually just make that happen real quick. It's quite simple, believe it or not, because we already made a lovely start speed situation. Yeah, it's kind of nice. And then what we'll do is we'll also have the ability to adjust some other things, but I guess this is more or less key is pressed, and then it's going to give you a faster or slower speed. I want to randomize the speed. I'm not really worried about location, actually. Just want to randomize the speed with key pressed. So let's actually use that function real quick in Sketch. Function key, capital P, press, and our parentheses with the curly brackets. And right here, start cars at different speeds. Car 1 dot start, because we have a class method for it. Random 2 and between 2 and 4, so it's going to go pretty quick, that one. Car 2 dot start. Random. Actually, we could. This one doesn't have to be random. Let's just do 3. Just remember, this has to do with speed. Car 3 dot start. Random. And can I do 0.5? Let's do -1 and the 1. Let's see what that does. So what do we have so far? We have a car that when hovering inside of it turns midnight blue, and when we click on it, we have a green circle that populates. When I press a key, randomized speeds essentially will occur. Seems like the FPS is a little janky. Let me see this. Still a little bit wonky. Interesting. Regardless, this is what it's all about. We have done it with our class methods, class parameter exercise. I opened it up for you all, so you should be able to see it. And now we're going to move on to the next thing here. Just going to save our work, create a new file, stop all this wildness, clear out our console. Let's dig into some wild loopity trig plus classes situation. I'm going to make a circle that just kind of hovers around a square. I want to make 4 of them though. 4 of the same objects, really. But I also want something to happen if we're on like the other half of the canvas. Maybe everything stops and we just see a weird shape. Now what I'd like to do though is I'd like to have the class not as a separate script. So let's do this like just within the sketch itself, something different, right? Typically we would actually make a whole nother script for that, but yeah, I'd like to make something different for this one. And this is a demo of methods, and we'll put our name on it. A demo of class methods plus params again, but in Sketch. Several instances or class objects. Circle appears when mouse is on 1/2 of canvas. Loop one instance of class object to get 4. And that's what this is going to be all about. Simple as that. Global variables. Let trig 1. Let trig 2. Let trig 3. Let trig 4. I know, right? Circle. Let a circle. Now within setup, we are going to use a center rect mode, so let's actually define that. Rect mode of center instead of corner. The default is corner. Instances or class varied class objects will occur right below this line, but we actually need to make that class first. So let's go below draw. Let's type in class the trig, curly bracket, and I just have to. All right, very well. I actually had to take a pause there because I had to do something important for y'all, but we got through it. What I'd like to do now is continue with trig 1, trig 2, trig 3, trig 4. I want to continue with the class the trig, and this is obviously going to have a constructor. It's also going to have constructor params. And we'll be actually applying them in setup. Not referencing might be the wrong word. Yep, so there you go. And then for the constructor, X, Y, those are the parameters. Little curly brackets there for us. And this will be this dot X equals X, and this dot Y equals Y, of course. And I want to give it some kind of an offset rotation, because I want something to be circling. And we're using trigonometry, hence the word trig. Right? I want it to kind of circle like that. Kind of a pi-oriented situation, perhaps. So something like this dot offset. Maybe we could make that equal random. And 2 multiplied by pi, and that should help to offset some of that movement. We haven't made that movement yet, but we will. First we gotta actually display something, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and do that. Display. And display, within display color, and that's what we will be doing. After that, we can actually give it some kind of fill. So maybe like, is maroon the color? No, I don't know. Let's just do hot pink because I love that color. After that, do a rect mode, or rather a rectangle. This dot x for its x, this dot y for its y, and then we'll make it 80 in size across the board. And we can make another fill, of course, maybe something like this. Fill. And this will be the thing rotating around it. Well, I guess it's defining the rotation, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at here. So we actually need to make a variable to do this, and we'll apply it to another thing later. So how could we do this? Let x, we'll just call it x for the heck of it, equal this dot x plus 50. And we'll multiply that by cosine because it's a good way to make things move. Frame count with a capital C divided by 20. I want to add that offset that we talked about before as well. So it'll be the offset for that little movement there. And then let's also redefine a y for this movement. So let y equal this dot y and plus 50. We're gonna do this. This will be a sine, so multiplied by sine. Frame capital C count, and that's divided by 30 to switch things up a little bit. Plus this dot offset, of course. Once we have that in place, we actually have to say to ourselves, well, what the heck is going to be doing this weird motion? And what's going to use the x and the y? The EY. It's going to be an ellipse. So let's make it an ellipse. Or it could be a circle. Circles are kind of great. Let's make it a circle. X and Y, and 20 for diameter, perhaps. Yes. And that's all for that. Nothing crazy there. Now, moving on, though, we do need some kind of trigonometry stuff. Let's say, you know, we don't really want to use all of this in this way. An alternative would be to actually just, you know, create some trig separately. So what do I mean by that? So we could actually just say, we could actually just make an actual function that would do this, like do all of this. But let's see how it goes without all that. You know what I mean? I don't think we really need to be digging into that too much. Now, the other thing that could have happened is like, oh, well, maybe, you know, maybe if we make, you know, the circle move around a little bit, perhaps in a different way, then we could have something like that occur for movement. Now, it doesn't, the thing is it doesn't really have to, these methods don't quite have to be actually labeled as move or labeled as, right? Like this is fine for displaying these things. When we put it in draw, so if we put this class in draw, what's going to happen is it's going to be like, oh, okay, I'll display this stuff. And yeah, it'll display, but it's also going to see, oh, we're animating something, right? So we don't have to write in a move, dot move or move. We don't have to do that. It's actually perfectly fine that it's just like this. But let's go ahead into things and just see if we can get into draw and actually make this thing move around a little bit, just so it's not, standing still. Definitely don't want that. So first I want to actually initiate it, get all those instances or class objects going. This means defining these variables, global variables, as class objects first. So let's actually do that. We'll just say trig1 equals new the trig. And then within that, we'll actually use the constructor's parameters. So we're going to define those constructor parameters. And that'll be... what the heck's going on here? There we go. That'll be maybe 100, 100. And we may actually not even bother looping one instance, so don't fret about that. We're still going to make 4 objects, though, with a little bit of trigonometry. Trig2 equals new the trig, and this one's going to be 300, 100. And then trig3 equals new the trig. This one will be 300, 300. And then trig4 equals new the trig. This one will be in the corner, 100, 300. Well, they're all in the corner, really. Let's see what happens with all of this. Now that we have things going on here. Right. If I want a circle to appear on one half and then nothing to, and then the squares and movement to occur on the other half, well, my mouse X halves, right? Then I'm gonna have to define some things. First off, I'm gonna have to say if, and then mouse X less than 200. Then do all this crazy jazz, which is some trig1 dot display with the parentheses, trig2 dot display with parentheses, trig3 dot display with parentheses, and then trig4 dot display, parentheses, of course. Yes. All right, let's kind of. We're also going to have to do this thing with the circle. However, we also need to do an else statement here because it's very important. Else, what happens if it's on the other side of the screen? All right. That I want to be a little circle. Else, let's actually make a for loop out of this. Okay, I'll do the for loop. For let coord equal 40 and coord less than width, coord plus equal 80. Once that occurs, what's going to happen here is a circle dot display at 100, 100. Still gonna need something though to do for, if I'm gonna get that circle to populate the way I want, I'm probably going to need some more information for that circle. There's that. That's for like the one that moves around the rectangle, the square. So this one we'll have to further define a bit. At the moment, let's just keep it here and just see. We'll probably get an error, but let's just see what happens here. Press play. All right, we got our circles moving around. Nice. Got some funny things going on here too. I love it. That looks really cute too. I love the colors. And there's the error. So yeah, when it goes and yeah, it basically breaks when I go to the other half, and that's because I haven't really defined what's going on here, right? Like it's like, okay, a circle, like what? What does that mean? So we need to actually give the circle a tad bit of structure. So let's do something here, okay? Let's actually go through and, you know, give a circle a nice little definition. At the moment, there isn't really much definition. And we can give it, we'll just give it definition through a sort of a circle class. So let's go into here and make a little circle class. Why not? Give it a little room. Class. The circle. Constructor. There we go. And I'm not gonna like do any fancy parameter stuff with this one. We'll just keep it simple. We'll just say this dot color equals color random, and yeah, I'll just say we'll just do RGB here, right? Random 255. That means 0 to 255, and then maybe 1 or 2 for the green, and then we'll do a random in between 150 and 240 for the blue. Underneath that, we do need a display, of course, otherwise it's not going to display, and that's kind of a problem. Oops, my bad. I am going to actually give a little bit of an X and a Y here parameter, just because it makes things easier. I do enjoy using parameters inside of classes. Fill this dot color, so we're using that color, obviously, and then for the display of the shape, it'll be an ellipse, and it's going to be X, Y, and 25, 25. Now we haven't actually created an instance of this, so let's make the instance so that the variable can actually work in that region of the code right here within that for loop, remember? I would want to make the instance in setup just to keep it clean. So a circle equals new the circle. And let's just plop it in 120 and 120 for X and Y. And that should work just fine. And honestly, I think that's fine. Well, no, we have the definition there actually, so we don't even need to do that. Meaning we don't need to put these parameters in because we have more. We have another definition here for that, for x and y. Let's go ahead and press play. The error should go away now because it knows, oh, I gotta make a circle when I'm at that side of the canvas with my mouse. So just a little something to play with. I'd like you all to keep on doing that, and honestly, it's going to help you a lot in various ways. So please, please, please keep on going with this. If you can actually just review this on your own and dig through anything that you think is, going to help you understand stuff. I did put extra notes, or I will put extra notes on to this lovely doodad of a program. So feel free to, or comments rather, feel free to review those comments and we'll make it happen, hopefully in your brain. I'm gonna, Wobbly Duke, I'm gonna go ahead and name this 101.9C and class methods params. I'll use wobbly circle. Cool. Next up, I really wanted to dig into the Dragon FSM stuff. What is an FSM? That's something I'd like to go over as well. We can actually dig into that. I think in this slideshow here, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna open that up. Should be towards the end. If it isn't, then it's alright. I'll just let you all look at it here. So finite state machine and is quite so it's basically just a sort of a way of having fixed number of states so that you go from here to here to here to here. Typically it'll have something going on in the middle at all times. Sometimes that's like a looping idle animation or something like that. Or it just falls back onto that area and waits for your command or the trigger, which would be a key press, right? For what we're digging into today, I just want to go left to right and make a little animation of a dragon stepping forward or turning around and stepping back, right? We'll dig into that together today. Very good. New things are here. So Dragon FSM, and please double check to make sure. The homework is a little bit different. Just make sure that you're doing your homework as well, which is also a week 9 assignment that has to do with the FSM. You also have 8-1 due on the 26th, I believe, if I am not mistaken. The Dragon FSM assignment should be due on the 2nd of November, something like this. Yep. One thing that we will be needing is a lovely class file. The Dragon Sprite.js. We're also going to need a media folder. Create folder, media. Inside the media folder, I'd like to download some things, and you can download this as well at the My Courses Week 9 module. in the Dragon FSM resources. And we just want these images here. So let's go ahead and go back to our lovely little program. I'm going to go ahead and upload those files if it allows me. There we go. Bring that up again. Then I'll just drag and drop. So I'm going to grab all these. Do a little drag and drop. Alright. Get that little dragon. Cutie patootie. As always, make sure that you utilize the index.html. Dragon sprite. Labeling the title. Going back to the class, because I want to set this up proper. Class. Oops. I want to do class. There we go. Dragon sprite. I'm putting an S on it. Curly brackets. Load the sprites here. So this is a little different than when we loaded sprites or images in the sketch. Remember that? We're actually going to be doing it with the class now. So this actually should help you to not only get those images loaded up and all that, but you'll also be able to create these things called states, where we'll be directing a key press to different states that will be related by string, like face left, face right, by string to an actual image that will then populate. We're also going to be preloading as well. Let's start with constructor, curly brackets, and then in here this dot state we will have a sort of starting state. We'll actually have our little dragon facing right or left to start. I'll make it left, and we're going to call that state face left. We're also going to load images. So this will be this dot face L equals load images. And just like before, when we actually were messing about with images, but this time we're just going to make sure that we can see this. There we go. Dragon LF. Make sure you also put the file name .png inside of there. This dot face R equals load image, and we will do a media slash dragon f rf .png, because that's what it's called right there, that little image there. Looks like I have a little bit of an issue here. I put an S on there, so let me just get rid of that. And then we'll do the same for the rest, except now we're walking instead of facing. So this dot walk L equals load image media dragon LW, so left walk.png. This dot walk R equals load image and media dragon right walk.png. If you want to test some stuff out, there's some fun things we can do here. Console.log, and we'll actually just say dragon. And then all you gotta do is save this, and it's just gonna populate this. Kind of nice. But we got a call on it from Sketch, of course. We haven't done that part yet. So the next step here is to display something. Display. Curly brackets included. Inside of here, we could say let state image. This will be the storage unit, I'd like to call it. All right, storing current image state. Below that, I'd like it to be an if statement because we want to play with these states in some type of way with our keys. If this dot state strictly equals face L, which it does by default in the beginning, state image equals this dot face L. So we're relating that string to an actual state property, like those properties in there, face L, face R, right? These properties. So we're directly connecting things now, which is really nice. And else if, right? That's what we would use for this. This dot state strictly equals face R. Then state image will equal this dot face R. Else if this dot state strictly equals walk L, walk left, then I want it to have the state image. Oops. I want that to equal this dot walk L. And then just finally, like, simple else statement. Else, it's going to be walk right. So state image this dot walk right, and it doesn't need a thing, like it doesn't need an actual string in that regard because it's the last step, right? Where are we gonna place this image though, right? That's the next thing. Like, okay, we have all this stuff, everything seems to be working out all right, but still need to place this image somewhere. So let's actually do that. That image will be placed. Oh, that's strange. Hold on, I think I need to be inside of here, eh? Oh, no. Yeah. Should probably be inside of there. Image. And then state image Then after that, we can just kind of center it out. Divide by 2, and then height, divide by 2. This will center the image. That way it has a place to go. Otherwise, it's like, I don't know where I'm going, you know? We also want to tell it how to interact. So let's make an update. How do we interact or change states? Well, we have to make an update. So update will be, I'll actually give us some room here so we're not getting caught up in the riff of whateverness here. Update with the curly cues. If key is down, left underscore arrow perhaps, we'll start with that. Then this dot state equals walk L. So now we've associated states with strings. Now we're actually going to use them in the update. Else if key is down, right, right arrow, this dot state equals walk right. Simple as that, really. Nothing crazy there. Now we also need to associate walk left and walk right to face left and face right. So let's actually go ahead and do that as well. It's a little bit of a different change up here. So how are we going to do that? We're just going to go below all this, and then we're going to make two more else if statements, and then we'll be good to go. So else if this dot state strictly equals L, then my screen just kind of decided to stop working. There we go. Then once you have walk L, obviously you'll be facing left, so that means that we need to create something that reflects that. This dot state equals face L. And then you do another else if for the right side. This dot state equal walk right. Then that means that this dot state equals face right. We're going to save our work because that was a lot of stuff here. A lot of pre-work just happened, a lot of prep there. But you can always rewind these videos if something went too quick for you. That's the beauty of a video. We have Dragon Sprites as a class. Let's actually use it now. We loaded these images. Let's see if we can get them to populate in some type of way. We'll actually go to Sketch now, and I'm gonna have to actually implement all this stuff now. So this is our sort of last and final step here. We'll say let dragon, just to initialize some kind of a variable that we can utilize for instances and all that. Global dragon instances. So this would be part of your Dragon FSM assignment. I just want to let you know I would like you to look at the rubric a bit more because I may or may not have other extra things for you to do. Just be thorough about it, and that's that. Like I do expect this to be in a Visual Studio Code type folder. That's something that I'm expecting, so please just read the assignment and rubric section stuff, right? That's all I ask. So instead of starting at setup, I'd like to make another function that's actually called preload. So function preload. And this is going to help us to load up not only the class, but the images within. So all at once though, so you don't have to do separate stuff. New dragon sprites. And then we'll actually give, just like rect mode or the like. I wanna make sure that we also define a central mode for the actual image itself. Like, oh, please populate at the center type of thing, right? So we'll do image mode and center. Dragon. Now we're actually going to use the variable, so dragon.display, and we'll also do a dragon.update, so we can actually move this lovely guy around. And we do place that in draw. We'll press play, it loads up. We also have a lovely little console log that appears. And look at that. Our guy is moving and grooving. It's fantastic. So that is all for this week. I want you to make sure that you read that rubric for the Dragon FSM, but also get your 8-1 done. And with that, I bid you farewell.